The first of two summer transfer windows is about to conclude in about 4 days' time for the 2025 season. There is a lot to discuss, a lot of arrivals, a lot of departures, a lot of moves for a lot of clubs to strengthen themselves throughout the window. We'll see how well those signings do once they actually land in England and start playing. But I just wanted to discuss my thoughts on some of the biggest moves that are currently happening before this first window shuts. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, your opinions as to what you think of each signing, who you think clubs could still use to sign, like what kind of arrivals, what kind of departures you think might be on the horizon for each club. And I'm just going to get stuck into it. Subscribe if you end up enjoying and like if you end up enjoying as well. We're going to start with Liverpool, my club, making a club record signing for a very, very familiar name to a lot of people by now. Florian Wirtz, according to Fabrizio Romano, is all but done. Final talks are necessary with Bayer Leverkusen, but all the personal terms are ironed out with Liverpool and Wirtz. Fee is around 130 million pounds or euros. I don't know the exact currency that's being used, but 130 M's for Florian Wirtz. And my oh my, that is a lot of money for one player, but I think he's going to be quite the talent. I'm excited to see how he plays. I'm also excited to see how Milos Kerkez does at Liverpool. He's all but done as well. Fabrizio had a bit of a fake out today where he posted, the eyes and then a Hungarian flag, but apparently Liverpool just ended up signing some Hungarian youth goalie, 20-year-old Arman Pesci or something like that. Unfamiliar with him. He's from the Hungarian league, but he had some good stats or something like that. So that'll be interesting. I am excited for Wirtz. I don't think he's the final signing for Liverpool this summer. I don't think Kerkez is either. I imagine Liverpool will sign at least another striker. I could be wrong on that. But all in all, I think so far, Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz, quite the start to the summer for Liverpool. Moving from Liverpool into rival territory, Manchester United, we have to talk about them because they are making some big moves this window. Love him or hate him, Matheus Cunha is all settled. He is officially a United player, according to Fabrizio Romano. Brian Mbuemo, set to sign for United as well. And I think both of them together are quite the duo of signings to bring in. But as I'm reading more stuff, I keep seeing Gyökeres get linked to Man United. And quite honestly, I think that's a signing that can really elevate United. I think as for the style of football that they're looking to play, besides the fact that, they are kind of a more counterattacking side the last few years. I mean, literally Ruben Amorim is there at Old Trafford. And, during his time at Sporting with Gyökeres, they had quite the connection, quite the partnership between manager and striker. If that ends up going through, honestly, regardless of the fees, I can't help but think that Man United are going to be some of the biggest winners in the transfer window. Cunha was like something around 70, 65 million. Mbuemo is also being eyed around like 55 to 65 million. You can imagine a similar fee will be paid for Victor Gyökeres. At that point, I'm a little stumped because you do want to strengthen around the whole side, but two Premier League proven forwards plus someone who ripped it up in the championship with Coventry and then went on to have an incredible couple seasons with Sporting and has that continuity with Ruben Amorim. I mean, there's a lot worse signings you can make. And I don't think that those three at all will be flops. I think almost all of them will be successes at United, based on the profile of players they need, based on where they are currently. I mean, they were 15th last season. To bring in that quality of player, Mbuemo, Cunha, Gyökeres, players who could be playing for Europa League, a Champions League level side, I think those are good moves. I hate to say it, but I think those are good moves for Man United. Man City going across the town or city of Manchester, I should say, to The noisy neighbors, Man City, they have a triad of signings who are, quite frankly, also very impressive. I think City are going to get back to their very best with some of these signings, and I can't help but think that these are incredibly smart acquisitions from City by Pep Guardiola and his managerial company, company as in like not like an actual literal company, but the people that he's with. One of which is now Pep Linders, former assistant coach and assistant manager at Liverpool, which is interesting. Two Peps, nice Linders, cool mate. Not butthurt or anything, but let's talk about the signings. Ryan Ait-Nouri is done. Wolves left back for around, I think, 40 million. Saw Angers was getting like 11 million of that transfer fee, which is kind of a big blow to Wolves. But Ryan Ait-Nouri is one of the best, if not in the last couple seasons, the best left back in the Prem, towards the top for sure. Incredibly technically gifted player, fits the Guardiola system. And honestly, like, Pep doesn't need that center back playing a full back thing. Like he's never been at his best playing with those kind of players. He's always had, the likes of Jordi Alba or, Dani Alves or Kyle Walker, who are traditional, proper fullbacks. And Ryan Ait-Nouri is exactly that. He's going to help them a lot. Ryan Cherki scored a wonder goal against Spain in the Nations League in that 5-4 loss for France. He's signing. He is an incredible talent. They're getting him for a very, very, very good price, around 20-25 mil. And then Tijani Reinders signing from AC Milan for around 60 to 70 million. He's the crown jewel of the three signings, but let's be real. For them to be able to get those three for the price of one Florian Wirtz and for the price of, a Cunha and an Mbuemo effectively at United, that's wonderful business. I think Wirtz is easily the best player out of all of the names I just listed, but at the same time, you have to state, the fact that City has done some incredible business, and you have to applaud that when it does happen. Not in the sense that I'm happy for them, but I am impressed by the work that they've been able to do. Moving over to London, a few teams to talk about. Spurs. Today, Ange Postecoglou was hit with the sack by Daniel Levy. There's rumors, will he, won't he? He did. He sacked him. My thoughts personally, I think Ange, he lived by the high line. He died by the high line. But at the end of the day, he did what he said he was going to do. He won them a trophy in their second season. For Daniel Levy, it was a bit too much to see Spurs basically unable to carry any momentum in the league, and that was maybe too big of a fear of his going forward. So it's either going to be Thomas Frank or Marco Silva to replace Ange. I think Marco Silva will end up going to Juve more than likely, if anything, if he's given the option. And then Thomas Frank, I could see him moving. I mean, it's a London club as well compared to Brentford. But I could see him staying too. I could see him being like, nah, like I'd rather reinvest in Mbuemo money, build around Visa, and just kind of keep doing my thing. I don't need to go to Spurs, which would throw a big wrench in all of their plans in terms of like, what do you do now? But they have signed Kevin Danso from Lens. That's a decent signing, I think, for Spurs. I don't know how great it'll be all in all. I think he was on loan last season. I could be wrong, or maybe that was just a link. Let me know in the comments. I can't remember. There's so many moves going on everywhere. We're going to go to Chelsea real quick. Chelsea obviously signed Liam Delap from Ipswich for around 30 million. I think that's a decent fee, decent signing to get. He had like double-digit goals for a relegated side, which is always impressive in the Premier League if you can do that. They're still looking for more firepower up front, with the likes of Hugo Ekitike still being vied for by them around, Frankfurt want like 100 million. Liverpool still in that conversation. Maybe, I don't know who's going to sign him, but I think that's someone that might end up at Chelsea more than likely, Ekitike. And then they still have Mike Maignan, who is possibly coming in as their starting goalie. 20 to 30 million. Maybe it's a little high, maybe it's a little low, depending on what you rate Maignan. A lot of people were slandering him following that loss to Spain in the Nations League. I don't know what the right move is for Chelsea, but there's always going to be movement at Chelsea following the arrival of Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing. Final two clubs I want to talk about, Arsenal and Aston Villa. Let's start with Arsenal. No news on Zubamendi. Will he stay in San Sebastian? I suffered this pain a lot last summer thinking that Zubamendi was guaranteed to join Liverpool, that he was going to be the sixth that we needed. He ended up staying with Real Sociedad. They ended up Real Sociedad, that is. They ended up losing Mikel Merino last summer, who basically turned into a 9 or a false 9, depending on how you want to look at it, for Arsenal due to their injury crises. Will he stay? Will he go? Should I stay? Should I go? I don't know what he's feeling. And maybe I wouldn't be shocked if he stays at this rate. Two other players that are highly, highly linked to Arsenal currently. Benjamin Sesko, striker from Leipzig. Leipzig's going to have a few people leaving. Simmons and Sesko are at the top of those lists. Will they end up signing Sesko Arsenal? I think so, yes. A lot of news and a lot of movement consistently from Fabrizio. So that leads me to believe they'll sign him. And then this guy, Karetsis, 17-year-old from Genk. I don't know a lot about him. He's dubbed as a mini Odegaard, but the fee is somewhere around 30 to 40 million, which is a lot for a 17-year-old. So if you're an Arsenal fan, you better hope that goes well. And then just finally, Aston Villa. They are apparently going to bring in Disasi on a permanent following his loan. Don't know what to think about that, really. Villa fans, let me know, because I don't really rate Disasi, but maybe he did well enough at Villa to justify staying. But the real big story at Villa is Emi Martinez leaving. If he leaves, it's going to be a big blow, but I feel like Villa is constantly having these FFP and PSR problems. I don't know how it all really works. I'm not a financial expert, so that is to be said. But if I'm a Villa fan, I'm personally very, very I don't feel too happy about any of that, quite frankly. Your star goalie leaving, constantly having to sell season on season despite getting European football. That's got to be a blow to the morale. All in all, a lot of movements in the transfer window still. A lot to discuss. Not a lot from Newcastle, who I expected to spend maybe a bit more. Not a lot from any other club really in the Prem that I could think of off the top of my head. No big money moves. Maybe in the second window after this one ends and then the second one starts up, maybe we'll see more signings. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comment section down below who you think will be the best signing of this bunch. Do you think Florian Wirtz will work at Liverpool? Do you think that United are going down the right path by signing Mbuemo and Cunha and possibly Gyökeres? Do you think City's trifecta signings of Ryan Knight-Nouri, Cherki, and Rangers are good? What about Spurs? Should they have sacked Ange? Should they have backed Ange? I want to hear what you have to say about that. And Chelsea, throwing around money like it doesn't matter or doesn't exist, signing Delap and possibly another 100 M's on a striker in Ekitike. Then Arsenal, Sesko coming in, Zubamendi not really budging yet, and Villa, FFP, PSR problems out the wazoo. I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section down below. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Sideline Sedo. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.